Gilbert, it is time for Compas on the LA beat.
Boom. Wow, Fernando, same energy, and I have a new background, so I like it. Keep it going.
Exactly. Gilbert, obviously, both LA teams made shoot. I think the Rams made more draft picks than the Chargers did, even though the Chargers had a first round pick. But
14 draft
but
picks for the Rams.
how many?
14.
Oh yeah, no, that's double what the Chargers. The Chargers are like Fernando when he was in school. Let's just do the minimum, get out of here, and let's move on to the next thing. So obviously, they did have a first round draft pick. There was a big old party down in Santa Monica. But let me ask you this: do you think Quentin Johnston was the correct pick at 21?
Yeah, I don't know if people are gonna like my answer. And I guess I'll try to phrase it this way and also to beat around the bush as well. You know what? No, I won't be that guy. I don't think it's the right pick at number 21 because it's not the right pick for 23. You like that, Fernando? I feel like it was a kind of a luxury pick, a pick that you make if you're like say the 49ers or the Eagles or the Chiefs. A roster is just ready to go and you're just like best available player. Let's go, keep it going. But the Chargers have holes to fill. And you've been saying on this program here on Compas on the Beat, how about a tight end like a Michael Mayer? Or how about a defensive back like Deontay Banks? You've been saying good things about Deontay Banks. Or how about just a guy who's a straight up burner, not a guy who's like, you know what? He's an underrated fast guy. How about Zay Flowers, who went the pick after to the Ravens, right? So it just feels like
who didn't know what division he was in.
Zay Flowers? Wait,
he didn't. Yeah, they asked him. They're like, so what do you think about the rest of the being in the AFC North? Man, I don't even know who's in the AFC North. And they're like, oh, the Cincinnati Bengals, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Browns. Oh, okay, that sounds like a pretty good division.
I like the confidence. Ahead. Just one lane. And
yeah, exactly.
I don't want this to come out of saying it's a bad pick to get Quentin Johnston. Maybe it works out because Keenan Allen year 11, 12 next year. I lost track. Fernando maybe.
He'd be year 12 the year if he after this is year 11 going in, but it'd be year 12 if he was here still in 2024.
Yeah, so you're kind of the good teams think ahead, and that's a credit for Tom Telesco and the Chargers. But like this roster is built to win now, and I just don't know how much Quentin Johnston could help you. And I like the upside, the potential. He's big, good enough speed. I think people try to compare to Mike Williams, but he's faster than Mike Williams. He's different. So I can't really figure out who he is. But some people in the pre-draft, like the experts, really liked him for all the skill set, everything he could do. But there was always that one big if, Fernando. But if you could figure out how to catch the ball, if you could finish and catch the football, like you're the wide receiver, that shouldn't be something you work on in the NFL. And all the highlights I kept seeing for now, not all of them, I'm exaggerating, but most of them, he was like bobbling the ball. And there was like a video I watched from Michael Parsons. He was like, he catches the ball with his chest. Like he doesn't just straight up with natural hands. And I'm like, well, I know he's a defensive player, but he knows football. Same thing with AJ Brown. There's a lot of mixed results about the bobbling of the ball, how he catches it. And that could be concerning. Like say he is a burner and he's downfield wide open and he drops it. Like we've seen that before with Jalen Guyton before. And he kind of fits the Jalen Guyton role, not in terms of being very physical and all around wide receiver, but he's a burner who kind of has bad hands. So that's concerning to me, Fernando, to kind of end my long-winded answer. I love the upside. It could pay off in 2024, 25 with Justin Herbert. But for right now, I maybe it's a small-minded kind of small window thinking, but all the pressure's on the Chargers to win now, right?
It is, but at the same time, I think the Chargers thought what happened last year. Last year, you don't have Keenan, you don't have Mike, you had DeAndre Carter, you had Michael Bandy, you had Josh Palmer out there, and it's like crap. Like you saw in San Francisco, Gilbert, they got up for I think 17-0. And they lost the lead. They got up on the Kansas City Chiefs at one point. They could have beaten some really good teams last year, but they lost the lead because they didn't have wide receiver help. And I think the Chargers are like, you know what? We can kill two birds with one stone here, where we can have this kid develop. We can develop him, but at the same time, he could help us. He could help us grow, and he's another receiver that people are going to have to fear when he's on the field because of the way he plays. I do understand the catching of the football. I was watching him, and I was kind of thinking about it. According to Staley, the things that he needs help with are things that are fixable. And he's like, and if you really look at it, we have two of the best that could help him with that stuff. And Keenan Allen, his route running was another thing that there was a little bit of concern about. But they feel like Keenan can help him out with that. And Keenan's always been open to helping these guys out and teaching these guys. I think that's why they went that route, Gilbert, because they thought about last year. And then they're thinking about the future as well. Like you said, Keenan is going to be owed $30 million between Keenan, Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, and Mike Williams. They're going to be owed, I think it's like $120 million between all of them or something like that. Like it's a ridiculous amount. So in my opinion, two of those guys aren't going to be here next year. Who are you going to look at? The older guys, Khalil Mack and Keenan Allen, which I'm not saying that Keenan won't be here, but I'm just saying that's what it looks like right now. But and you need something for the future. So I feel like that's why they brought in this kid, and they thought, you know what, his upside is huge. And then at one point, I mean, if you really look at it, it literally if you really wanted to go out there, if you go out there with him, Keenan, Mike, Austin Eckler, and let's just say Gerald Everett, they're going to be hard to defend. The only thing is, I thought they might double dip and go Michael Mayer in the second round. They ended up going with the pass rusher Tuluapu from USC, but the Raiders ended up getting, which I think is a steal of the draft, right there with Michael Mayer in the second round. But I'm gonna say this was I think it's a good pick, but like you said, it's for the future. And if this kid can help now, then great. But they just don't want to get caught with the same. With me, in my opinion, they don't want to get caught the same way they did last year, where they don't have any receivers, they don't have the help, and they need it from. But I mean, it might be too much to ask out of a rookie to be able to do something like that. But as a developmental pick, I like this kid. From what I understood, he either could be the next Devontae Adams or he could be the next Darius Hayward Bay. So it's like it's gonna be either or. So it's kind of like, you're kind of like, oh crap. And I'll give the Chargers credit when it comes to developing receivers. They've done a good job. Mike Williams, Gilbert, when he was drafted in 2017, he had that back injury. He played a couple of games, but he just didn't look right. And everybody thought, bust. And his second year, he came out and really flourished. His third year is really where you saw that kick in. So they've done a good job with the receivers in the past. So I'm sure Quentin will be able to fix his things. But I understand the frustration, especially with Michael Mayer. Bill's general manager, Billy Bean or Brandon Bean, just came out and said that he didn't think Dalton Kincaid was going to go past the Chargers. He said right then and there, he's going to the Chargers. And that when they passed on him, he was like, oh, crap. So, yeah, I understand like I said, the need there, but I get why they decided to go with Quentin Johnston. So I'm not gonna say he's the right pick. I'm not gonna say he's the wrong pick. I guess I'm in the middle, just because I understand their point of view when it comes to this.
Yeah, and you never want to get burned by reaching for draft need. And then the good teams do plan ahead, and I'll give them credit that way. But like now you're thinking like, well, who's gonna lose snaps and targets? Josh Palmer or Quentin Johnston? Like it's gonna hurt you that way. Like a Dalton Kincaid. If you want just a seam stretcher and a guy to contribute right away, there's room for that, right? That with Joe Derry, like you can put him away, whatever you want there. Yeah. But now he's gonna play a good impact. But last thing I'll say on this, Fernando, it just feels like they're all in this year and say they have to move on from Khalil Mack and Keenan Allen, and then next year you get other needs, and I'm like, when is the time to win now?
Yeah.
But I get it. You're planning ahead, and when you have Justin Herbert, like Joe Burrow once said, the window's always going to be open, but eventually just strike and do it now. But overall, I don't hate the pick. I just wanted to say the other side of it.
No, and you're completely right with and that's why some of the fans felt the way you did. But that's why I think they have to dip into free agency. I mean, I asked Tom Telesco, what's up with Kyle Van Noy? Are you guys going to bring him back? Well, I mean, we did draft an edge guy. Who gives a rat's ass if you drafted an edge guy? Bring him. Gilbert, when Joey Bosa came back towards the end and Kyle really figured out this defense, he finished the season with 6 sacks in the last 6 games of the season. That's including the playoffs. He had a sack on Trevor Lawrence as well. So I'm like, why wouldn't you bring him back for the leadership and for everything that he did? Now, if you had Joey, you have Khalil Mack healthy, you bring in this kid from USC, and you have Kyle Van Noy, you may be able to have a healthy rotation. And I'm not giving up on Chris Rumph. I just think that Chris Rumph hasn't really done anything to prove that he's a guy that they can count on, whether it's on special teams, whether it's in the game. I think they need to bring in a Kyle Van Noy again. Hell, Bryce Callahan should be brought in. The John Johnson one, I'm going to be interested in that because they say that they have they believe in JT Woods. They believe in Alohi Gilman, but I don't buy it just yet. I think that John Johnson pick. Yeah, for some reason I kind of feel like they may reach out to him and see what's up with that. But if you're really going to be all in, you need to bring in more guys that are familiar with the system, and I feel like you need to bring in some veterans to really fill out the rest of this team.
Fernando, you're thinking too far ahead. And before we move on to the Rams, I have one
Or
question and keep it short. Does my guy Easton Stick lose a number 2 job to Max Dugan? Is that his name? I forget for TCU. Yeah, whatever.
uh No, I think Easton's been in this system. I think he knows it.
All right.
But I mean, what they like from Max Dugan, they say that he's a winner everywhere he's been. So it may be a little bit difficult there, but I think the Chargers are going to want a veteran presence more than a rookie. Because I mean, say something if something knock on wood happens to Justin, you don't want a rookie in there trying a 7th round rookie. I mean, yeah, it worked for the 49ers, but it doesn't mean it's going to work for you. So, by the way, the Chargers have another red rifle. They have a red rifle now, and Max Dugan on their team. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. But Gilbert, now let's move on to the LA Rams. With all the 14 draft picks plus adding 24 undrafted free agents, do you think it'll be enough to fill the Rams roster for training camp? By the way, they listened to Fernando and they went offensive line for a lot of their selections.
I was gonna start off that way, Fernando, but I was gonna say, okay, they went with my backup plan because I thought you got to go all in with edge rusher, but there was gonna be that wave at edge rusher, and you can't reach. And we saw the Chiefs take one too in the end of the first round. So cool, you didn't reach, and you went with the best offensive lineman available. And I really like the Steve Avila pick because he kind of does, the current need where you need a guard, but he also plays center, and he could be the center of the future because Brian Allen's a good center, but he's always injured. And he's going to be a free agent next year. So they're thinking, all right, let this guy develop maybe as a guard, and then he could take over for Brian Allen. The good thing about the Rams, what they were doing, like they already had guards coming back healthy from that crazy injury wave they sustained, not because of me, Fernando, don't go there, by the way, but they had a bunch of injuries at guard and the interior, particularly guys coming healthy from like Logan Bruss from a year ago. They could have easily been like, you know what, guys are coming back. Let's keep working on the defense. No. After you go through that crazy kind of wave of injuries, they go and get somebody who's versatile, a two-way player, either guard or center. By the way, Coleman Shelton, shout out to that guy because what he did last year, that probably helped out the Rams and getting Steve Avila because Coleman Shelton was so clutch playing center and guard. So now you got 2 of those guys. So it's not a sexy pick, but I'm sure Dan Diego's loving this guy, Steve Avila, when he does a film later on in the trenches with Dan Diego. But overall, they listened to you, went with offensive line for the first pick, and then also listened to me by saying, don't reach for an edge rusher, consider it. And then the edge rusher came later on in the draft. I think it's Byron Young from Tennessee. By the way, 2 Byron Youngs in the draft, and I got confused for a bit. One from Alabama, defensive tackle, and then one from Tennessee. So that's how much I was deep in the draft round, learning about the 2 Byron Youngs.
And then they went with the old man in Stenson at quarterback. Definitely. If this guy in his press conference says, I looked up to Matthew Stafford when I was a kid, bull crap. You looked at him. You looked at him up to him when you were a teenager. You weren't a kid when Matthew Stafford was in the NFL, you old man. This guy, he's going to say it. I looked up to him when I was a kid. You weren't a kid. You were an old man. Stop. Get out of here.
Were they in the same football team or Little League as Kershaw and Stafford at the same time in Texas?
Yeah, exactly. You know what? And I actually like the Stenson pick. I thought it gave it a little it gave the Rams a little bit of juice.
Yeah, they need it.
Because I'm interested to see what's going to happen. Supposedly the kid, like a lot of the scouts feel like he's pro ready. He's ready to go. Like Cooper Kupp. Like I'm interested now to see the Rams this year with Stenson. I want to see if he really is all grown up and he's over all the DUI and all the crap that he went through.
I was gonna say, if you're a grown man, you're 25, 26, you're still doing dumb stuff like that.
Well, yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he's trying to pretend to be as a kid. Maybe that's what helped him go in the 4th round.
Well, I mean, and you know what's funny? A lot of people said he was going to go undrafted, so I was very surprised that he went in the 4th round. Like I was sitting there and I was writing stuff about. No, I don't think the Chargers had gone yet. So I think I was like eating a bagel or something. And I look up and I saw him go. I'm like, what? I was like, I thought he was supposed to go further than this, so I was very surprised
I
that he
think
went.
Fernando is because they didn't have a backup quarterback. They're probably like, well, this
No.
guy's older, and if we need we're in a pickle. Well, he's won 2 national titles. Just give him the number 2 jock his experience.
So what's name is gone? I know Baker's
Who?
gone,
Yeah, he's
but
with Tampa. But
the other two backups.
going into the draft, they didn't have another quarterback besides Stafford. They didn't even have a
Oh
kicker, a
wow.
punter, or a long. They had like 40 something players on the roster going into the draft. They loaded up today on 24 undrafted free agents and 14 draft picks.
So they're gonna be like the Philadelphia Eagles of Dick Vermeil the first year, where they got Vince Papale out of the fan stands to come in and play. Like
yeah,
they're gonna have
that's what
open
they're gonna
trade.
go for. That would
They're
have been
gonna
cool.
get.
That would
They're
have
gonna
been
have.
such an LA story.
Not like in in The Longest Yard. You come to the treehouse. Come to the treehouse instead of tryouts. They're gonna come to the treehouse. Hey, that'd be fun though. I mean, hey, have some tryouts. I know one guy would want to go in as a kicker. He thinks he's a kicker. He's
Oh yeah.
media by day and kicker by night. So, but definitely some interesting stuff, Gilbert. I'm interested to see what the Rams are going to do this year. I really think that they're gonna have a lot of young players, which obviously, like I've told you in the past, I think the Rams draft very well. So I'm interested to see these players in a couple of years. Obviously, what's name won't be the head coach; it'll be another head coach. But I'm definitely, I definitely think the Rams' future is going to be bright. I think they're going to have some young players that can ball, and I really do think that they draft really well. So I'm excited to see what they're going to do. I mean, obviously not this year, but in the future.
One more nugget for you, Fernando, because you are a San Diego guy. Ring the bell for me. The cornerback they drafted out of TCU, I want to say the 6th round, Hodges Tomlinson, the nephew of the
LT's
great LaDainian
LaDainian
Tomlinson. There you go.
Yeah, no, he was pushing for the Chargers to draft him, and I'm like, God, can you imagine if they would have drafted 4 Horned Frogs? I was like,
Oh yeah,
God,
it's too much. Yeah.
they're the Los Angeles Horned Frogs, literally.
They got 2 on Rams and 4 or whatever on the Chargers. There you go.
There you go, 6 of them. Joe Reedy should have asked all of them what it felt like to play their last game.
Right. Just get on all the Zoom calls and jump in.
Exactly. Yeah, but thank you guys so much. That was Compas on the LA Beat. Don't forget to check out everything Compas on the Beat, social media, shirts, merch, website, and all of our other shows. Thank you guys so much for checking this out.
Link in the description.